The real reason for this New York Knicks' newest signing has been revealed as Leon Rose surprised many fans when he decided to go the route he went, while many expected the Knicks to sign one of their internal guys who have been showing out for the NBA G League so far, and many fans thought that this would be the direction Leon Rose would go. However, that did not happen, and now we're going to break down exactly why the Knicks went the route they did, signing PJ Tucker. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things as always. Guys, if you're part of that 68% that's not subscribed to Knicks Digest, this is the place to be for all Knicks content. You do not want to miss out. We're having a bunch of fun, multiple videos every day, but let's jump into this. We're here to talk basketball, and that's exactly what we're going to do. As we all know by now, 2 days ago on Saturday, PJ Tucker signed a 10-day contract with the New York Knicks, or well, agreed to a 10-day contract with the New York Knicks, because today was the day that Tucker officially signed that deal, as the New York Knicks PR announced. Now, I'm not going to read all that off because, one, there's no way I could see that unless I had supervision. On top of that, you guys just don't need to hear me read 4 paragraphs. Essentially, it's just a breakdown of what happened. The PR stuff is not something you need to read, if we're being honest. Essentially, it just gives the rundown on who PJ Tucker is, the decisions, his agents, that's really it, and just the Knicks front office. PR stuff doesn't really matter. Essentially, they did announce that today was the day Tucker signed the contract. So now from March 10th to March 20th, PJ Tucker will be a New York Knick, and it is likely that it is longer than that. As the New York Knicks, their real reasoning behind this has been revealed, and there's been a bunch of different reports on this. Now, Stephen Bondy said PJ Tucker just had his first shoot-around with the Knicks. Assuming everything goes according to plan, Tucker expects to be around longer than the 10-day contract. Contracts work out that the Knicks will stay under the second apron with 2 10-day contracts before a standard one, which is huge for the Knicks. Now, here's the thing. The Knicks, when they signed Tucker, they decided to go an external route, and that surprised a lot of people. And also part of the reasoning here for Leon Rose is that he could keep it under the second apron, something the Knicks are not allowed to go into this season because of a stipulation from the Mikal Bridges trade, so the Knicks didn't really have a choice on the matter anyway, but here they are. Now their decision has been made to go with Tucker, and this also will keep them under the second apron, signing Tucker to 2 10-day contracts to see if he has what it takes to stay around with the New York Knicks longer term. Now, Tucker, for his career, put up 6.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 1.4 assists per game while shooting 36.6% from 3 and 42.5% from the field. The numbers are not super, shockingly great or anything, but he's an intangibles guy. He fits that Tom Thibodeau style well, and there is a lot of reasoning why the Knicks went with a guy like this. He's an enforcer, and the Knicks wanted one of these guys here. He could play multiple different positions, guard multiple different positions, has an NBA championship attached to his name, where he was an integral part of that team, being the guy guarding Kevin Durant when the Milwaukee Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets had that 7-game series that ended in a Game 7 overtime that the Milwaukee Bucks ultimately won. And Tucker was the guy guarding Kevin Durant, who did not make a shot in that overtime. KD went 0 for 6 in overtime while missing a few shots that would have given the Brooklyn Nets ultimately the win. Now, I know a lot of people like to say, well, Kevin Durant was a foot off. If his toe didn't touch the line, the Nets would have won the NBA Finals. But it did, though. So, what are you going to do? Sorry, it didn't work out. That Kevin Durant didn't know where to put his foot. I don't see how that's anyone else's fault. But that's beside the point. That's a different conversation. But Nets fans will never shut up about that. PJ Tucker was good at guarding Kevin Durant because he was getting in KD's head. He's very vocal. He's tough. You can't bully through him. Yeah, he's a lot shorter than KD, but he was just always there in his face, messing with KD, trying to get in his head any way possible. And it did work to a high degree. And he's an exhausting guy to guard you because he's going to beat you up a little bit. You're going to get hit hard by PJ Tucker, and he's not going to let you get away with anything. And he's a perfect guy for this Knicks team, who also said that the Knicks were always his first choice and where he wanted to sign in the first place. So Tucker himself literally said that he wanted to be a New York Knick. This was the team he wanted to go to. He was waiting for the Knicks to call him. He had other offers, but ultimately wanted to be on the Knicks. He wanted to do that New York grit, embody that style. And that's interesting to see because we saw Tucker wanted out of Philly when Harden did. We saw Tucker didn't like being on the Clippers. So he's been on a few teams where he's like, I'm not playing for them. We saw him get traded to Utah where he said, obviously, I'm not playing here. This is a losing situation. I don't want to be here. So we've seen PJ Tucker be picky about his teams towards the end of his NBA career. And now he finds his way to a contending team in the New York Knicks where he feels like he could truly really give what he has to offer while also getting those ninth man minutes. I expect PJ Tucker to get minutes for that ninth man role. The Knicks need another forward. PJ Tucker gives him corner three-point shooting. He gives him three-point shooting in general. He loves to shoot the corner three, and he's been very good at it throughout his career. That was actually once his calling card back in like 2018 and 2019. That's what he was known for, was the elite corner three-point shooting. So that fits in. The defense on multiple different positions fits in. He could play that small ball role in a few ways as well. Tucker's a good signing for this team, and he's an excellent voice to have in the locker room. And Ian Begley spoke on all of this and what culminated and why the Knicks truly did go with Tucker over a guy like a TJ Warren or a Moses Brown. And let's take a look at that. As Ian Begley said, the Knicks see PJ Tucker as an integral addition to a locker room that has veterans, but none with the experience that Tucker brings. The 14-year NBA vet will be received well in the locker room, has championship experience. Knicks also wanted someone with an enforcer mentality, which is why they've targeted Tucker. The Knicks and Tucker are planning on a 10-day deal, as ESPN first reported. The club has a needed center, but Knicks people who targeted Tucker believe the center position can be covered between Karl-Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson, and Precious Achiuwa. So instead of ultimately doing a move that many Knicks fans expected, the Knicks did decide to go with Tucker and forego adding another center, specifically Moses Brown, who was the favorite to get that role for a while. I actually expected Moses Brown to get the role from the Knicks. The Knicks decided against him. Now, yes, they could buy out DeLon Wright and figure out a way to add Moses Brown or TJ Warren at the very end of the season. I would guess it would be Moses Brown. It's an insurance policy, but it's not exactly clear if that's going to happen. I'd err on the side of it not happening, just because the fact that the Knicks haven't bought out DeLon Wright yet makes it pretty hard to imagine. Now, given the Knicks did need to have at least 14 people on roster, and now that they have 15 guys, they can waive DeLon Wright at some point while ensuring that they bring back PJ Tucker on another 10-day and then to a full-scale contract. So maybe they will decide to waive DeLon Wright at the 25th hour of the regular season, bring in Moses Brown the day before the season ends, and then they'll have basically, based off some weird salary gymnastics, they will be able to avoid the second apron still. So there is that ability for the Knicks, and I could see that happening. It makes the most sense to me, considering how much the Knicks have clearly had interest in a guy in Moses Brown who's put up good numbers when he's gotten to the NBA and somehow has been yet to find a strong NBA role. But PJ Tucker, he has a strong NBA role because he does what he does very well. The Knicks needed a guy in Tucker, and even though they could have went in the direction of a TJ Warren or something, who, well, is an excellent scorer, been putting up around 25 points per game for the Westchester Knicks in the G League. The Knicks ultimately decided Tucker fit the team better, and I talked about this with Chuma Okeke. I said Okeke fits the team better because he's more 3-and-D, strong defender, hard-nosed. It makes more sense than a guy off the bench who likes to play isolation ball in TJ Warren. Now, the Knicks still could use TJ Warren's isolation ball. There's still a very lacking bit of that on the Knicks, especially a team that runs a lot of isolation. So they could end up working that out eventually as well. And also, there was the option of a former Knicks, such as a Marcus Morris, or a Taj Gibson. Because the Knicks people were looking around for an enforcer, I would imagine they definitely took a long, hard look at Marcus Morris before deciding probably that Morris wanted to be waived by the Knicks and didn't re-sign on a training camp deal. They probably were like, all right, well, if he's not going to be willing to do that, he's not the right guy for this franchise, so we'll bring in Tucker instead, who wants to be on this team, who wants to play for the New York Knicks, and now ultimately is going to. So it's a very interesting signing. I like it. I think it's helpful for the Knicks. I think adding PJ Tucker will give them the enforcer that this team's been looking for. He's a guy who's performed well in the playoffs throughout his NBA career as well, shooting over 40% for his career in the NBA playoffs while playing good defense and averaging exactly 7 points per game is what the Knicks needed. He's played a lot of playoff games as well. He's played over 100 games in the NBA playoffs, that being highlighted at all 23 games for the Milwaukee Bucks when they won the NBA Finals in 2021. So Tucker gives the Knicks everything that they need. This is a very, very good move for the Knicks. I'm very curious to see what happens if they'll decide to end up moving on from DeLon Wright to bring in another guy. Very well could happen. So, guys, stay tuned for that. We will discuss that further as well as time goes on. But, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Knicks.